Yep. Couldn't figure out what to do this week, so thought I'd read another chapter. Now then, are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin. So how was work today, honey? Asked Jasmine. Horace looked up from his phone to her. He had bagged a beauty when he had met Jasmine. Slim, little bit of a pot belly that was hardly noticeable, curly black hair that ran down to her shoulder blades, piercing brown eyes. If life was a game of Jack, he had rolled a hard 6 when he had got together with her. Horace shrugged and smiled at her. Nothing exciting, darling, he replied. Had a couple of wackos confront me, sold a few more houses, nothing exciting. Jasmine frowned. What did they confront you about? She asked. Horace smiled at her. Disagreement about how I was running the company. Nothing more to it than that. Jasmine didn't look at all convinced, but she seemed to shrug it off. Fair enough. Anyway, sighed Horace, smiling. How was your day, darling? Jasmine smiled. Same here. Nothing special. Made some phone calls, visited the doctor, did some shopping. The usual. The doctor? Horace remarked. Nothing serious, I hope. Jasmine smiled a secretive little smile. Actually, she cooed, I have something wonderful to tell you. As she was about to speak, Horace's phone started to buzz. Hang on, honey, I'll just be a minute, he said, heading into the kitchen. Horace Arnold's. Boss, we've just received note that a large number of semi-detached properties to the east of the city are available to purchase. The cash register inside Horace's head started to whir. Large number of properties. Rent them at 600 per room. Each building had at least 10 rooms. £6,000 per house. 7 houses, £42,000. Horace walked back into the dining room. Sorry, honey, he replied. Something's come up at the office. I'm going to have to go back in. But, honey, I've got to tell you... Well, it'll have to wait, darling. This is important. Horace repacked his suitcase and swept out of the room, leaving Jasmine at the dining room table with a disappointed scowl on her face. Meanwhile, across the city, a mass of roses, greenstalks, daffodils, and tulips were stalking their way towards the local college. As it reached the accountancy building, the greenery retracted, revealing a man with light brown hair, glowing green skin, and a green and purple armour. Francis smiled. Good to see you, Ainsley. Ainsley's lime green face grinned at Francis' mint green. Nice to see you too, mate. How's the botanical gardens? Ainsley's faint smile vanished, replaced by a hard stare. Worse than we thought, he replied. If what Arnold is planning is true, he plans to bulldoze the botanical gardens to put up another housing estate. Francis sighed in frustration. We've not got long then. I'm afraid not. Better get to work then. Francis led Ainsley back up to the second floor, where Felicity Beaumont and Jeremy Clinton were waiting, both in armour. Ainsley Halton, I'd like you to meet Felicity Beaumont, codenamed Crochet, former colleague of mine. Felicity and Ainsley both shook hands. Nice to meet you. You too. Anyway, huffed Francis, we got work to do if we're going to stop this. Ainsley, I need you to try and get a call through to Munich. See if you can get through to Harriet. If worse comes to the worst, we may need her. Ainsley nodded. On it, mate. Francis turned to Felicity, clad in her old red and blue armour with crystalline sleeves. Felicity, I'll need you to try and contact as many members of the Mark II team as you can. Toxic, Jet Set, Current. Try and see if you can get hold of Sergeant Stealth if possible. We may need her. Felicity saluted and headed off to get the phone wagons rolling. Finally, Francis turned to Jeremy Clinton, clad in grey and silver armour, with a mechanism in his chest, metal fused into the outer ridges of his face, black hair and 2 grey pistols slotted into his back. Jeremy, we protect the south and the west of the city. The north and the east are protected by a group called the Mechanicals, led by a woman called Debbie. I'll need you to bring them in. We'll need as much help as possible. Jeremy nodded, then frowned. What are you going to do exactly? Francis glared at him. I'm off to the theatre. Hold on, said Jeremy. We're recruiting members and you're just going to slack off? Francis grinned at him. On the contrary, there's an old colleague of ours working as an entertainer at the local theatre. If we're going to stand any chance of bringing Horace back to earth, she'll be essential. Jeremy shrugged, started heading towards the door, then paused. Which old colleague? He asked. Francis sighed as memories of previous battles scarred back through his mind. Who do you think? He groaned. End of chapter 5. Where will things go from here? We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, thanks for listening. See ya.